You don't need hours of meditation or years of training to take control of your brain. In fact, within just 6 minutes, you can shift your mental state, sharpen your focus, and regain control over your emotions. The key lies in understanding how your brain and body work together. Once you learn how to influence that system deliberately, you stop being a victim of distraction, stress, and low motivation, and start operating with clarity and precision. Most people believe that controlling the mind starts with controlling thoughts, but that approach is often ineffective because thoughts are the result of deeper biological processes. Your brain does not operate in isolation. It is constantly receiving signals from your body, especially through your nervous system. This means your physiology, your breathing, posture, heart rate, and level of tension directly shapes how you think and feel. When your body is in a stress state, your brain shifts into survival mode, making you more reactive, anxious, and easily distracted. On the other hand, when your body is calm and regulated, your brain naturally becomes more focused, clear, and controlled. This is why attempting to think positively or force focus rarely works when your body is dysregulated. You are essentially trying to override a biological state with sheer willpower, which is limited and quickly depleted. Instead, when you change your physiology first, you create the conditions for better thinking to emerge automatically. Simple actions like slowing your breath, relaxing your muscles, or adjusting your posture send signals to your brain that it is safe to shift out of stress and into a more balanced state. These signals travel through well-established pathways in your nervous system, rapidly influencing your brain's activity. What makes this powerful is the speed and reliability of the process. You don't need to wait for your thoughts to change in order to feel better or gain control. By targeting your body, you access a more direct and efficient pathway to influence your mental state. Over time, this builds a sense of control that feels grounded rather than forced, allowing you to respond to challenges with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. Breathing is one of the most powerful and immediate tools you have to influence your brain because it directly connects to your nervous system. Unlike many other bodily functions, breath is both automatic and controllable, which makes it a unique entry point for shifting your mental and emotional state on demand. When you are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, your breathing naturally becomes shallow and rapid. This pattern signals your brain that something is wrong, activating a heightened state of alertness that makes it harder to focus or think clearly. The important insight is that this relationship works both ways. Just as stress changes your breathing, changing your breathing can reduce stress. When you deliberately slow down your breath, especially by extending your exhales, you activate the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. This is the system responsible for relaxation, recovery, and clarity. As you breathe in deeply through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth, your heart rate begins to decrease and your body starts to release built-up tension. This sends a powerful signal to your brain that you are safe, allowing it to shift out of a reactive mode and into a more controlled and focused state. One particularly effective technique is the double inhale followed by a long exhale. The first inhale fills your lungs, the second helps expand them further, and the slow exhale helps offload carbon dioxide more efficiently. This pattern not only improves oxygen exchange, but also accelerates the calming effect on your brain. Within a short period, you can feel a noticeable shift in your mental state, moving from scattered or overwhelmed to calm and attentive. This is why breath is often the fastest way to regain control, especially in moments where your mind feels out of reach. Focus is not something you either have or don't have. It is a skill that is built through deliberate practice and by managing both internal and external distractions. Your brain is naturally wired to seek novelty because new stimuli can signal opportunities or threats. In today's environment, where notifications, social media, and constant information are always available, this system becomes overstimulated, pulling your attention in multiple directions. As a result, what feels like a lack of focus is often just your brain responding exactly as it was designed to. But in an environment that overwhelms it, to build focus, you need to reduce the number of competing inputs. This starts with your external environment by minimizing distractions such as unnecessary tabs, background noise, or interruptions. But even more important is learning how to handle internal distractions like random thoughts, worries, or impulses to check something. These internal interruptions are inevitable, and trying to suppress them usually makes them stronger. Instead, the key is to notice when your attention drifts and then gently bring it back to a single point of focus. That act of returning your attention is what strengthens your ability to focus. Each time you bring your mind back, you are reinforcing neural circuits associated with attention control. Over time, this repetition makes it easier to stay engaged with a task for longer periods without feeling mentally scattered. It also trains your brain to tolerate boredom, which is essential because deep focus often requires working through moments that are not immediately stimulating. By consistently practicing this process, you shift from being controlled by distractions to actively directing your attention. This creates a sense of mental stability and clarity, allowing you to engage more deeply with whatever you are doing and produce higher quality results without feeling overwhelmed. Dopamine is often misunderstood as a chemical of pleasure, but its primary role is to drive motivation, pursuit, and the willingness to exert effort. It is released not just when you achieve something, but in anticipation of a reward, which is why it plays a central role in shaping your habits and behaviors. When dopamine is tied too strongly to easy and instant rewards, like scrolling, entertainment, or constant novelty, your brain begins to expect high stimulation with minimal effort. Over time, this reduces your ability to engage in tasks that require sustained focus because they don't provide the same immediate dopamine spike. To regain control, you need to shift how your brain associates dopamine with your actions. Instead of linking it only to outcomes, you deliberately attach it to effort. This means learning to recognize and even internally reward the act of focusing, working, and persisting, rather than waiting until the task is complete. When you do this consistently, your brain starts to rewire itself, making effort feel more satisfying and reducing the resistance you normally experience when starting or continuing a task. Another important factor is managing dopamine spikes throughout the day. If you repeatedly expose your brain to highly stimulating activities, you create a contrast that makes normal tasks feel dull and uninteresting. By limiting these spikes and spacing them out, you maintain a more stable baseline level of dopamine, which supports steady motivation rather than short bursts followed by crashes. This allows you to stay engaged for longer periods without constantly seeking distraction. Over time, this approach builds a more resilient form of motivation that is not dependent on external rewards or fleeting bursts of excitement. Instead, it creates a system where your brain is aligned with productive behavior, making it easier to take action consistently and maintain control over where your energy and attention go. Most people assume that meaningful change requires long periods of time, but the brain responds strongly to short, intentional actions, especially when they are performed with full awareness. These small actions act as signals that can rapidly shift your mental state because they interrupt whatever pattern your brain is currently running. If you are feeling distracted, unmotivated, or overwhelmed, your brain is essentially stuck in a loop. A brief but deliberate action can break that loop and create a new direction for your attention and energy. The effectiveness of short actions comes from their ability to reduce resistance. Large tasks often feel intimidating, which causes procrastination or avoidance. But when you scale an action down to something that can be done immediately, your brain is more willing to engage. Once you start, even with something small, you create momentum. That momentum is critical because your brain begins to shift from hesitation to execution, and that shift alone changes how you feel and think. Another key factor is intention. It's not just about doing something quickly, but doing it with a clear purpose and full focus. When you bring your complete attention to even a brief action, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with control and discipline. This teaches your brain that you are capable of directing your behavior, even in moments when you don't feel like it. These short resets also have a cumulative effect. Each time you take a small intentional action, you reinforce a pattern of control and responsiveness. Over time, this builds confidence and consistency, making it easier to act without overthinking or delay. What begins as a simple 6-minute intervention can evolve into a reliable system for managing your state, helping you stay aligned with your goals and maintain a sense of control throughout your day